All right, welcome to this week's Points and Miles report on traveling on everyday spend. I want to first thank each and every one of you that take the time to watch these weekly live streams and videos. Really means a lot. It's been a long 30 plus days. I really haven't gotten new videos out, but I will be beginning that next week and getting some videos out for you all and get this thing restarted. Want to thank each and every one of you for the time that you all have given me. Don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's go ahead and just get started and take a look at our agenda, of course. There we go. So for the agenda, we're going to be looking at the September credit card intro bonus offers. We have a lot of new ones that have come out today over the last couple of days. Look at the transfer bonuses. Look at additional points and miles opportunities that we are seeing. And then we're going to get into the graduate hotels, which are now part of Hilton, which ought to be very interesting. And then we're going to be looking at Uber changes that I just saw today for the Amex Platinum and Gold and how that may change some things for you. Then we're going to look at two sets of family of cards for Chase. We're going to look at the Avios credit cards and which one is best for you, as well as the Southwest credit cards, because both families on Chase have new welcome bonus offers that we need to look at. And then we're going to look at United Airlines and some partner flight discounts that seem to be new that we are starting to find out about. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at Wyndham rewards and are those points an undervalued opportunity that we are missing? So let's go and get started, and want to say thanks to Mr. Cool, 354. Appreciate you stopping through, sir. Always appreciate the support. And so let's get to topic one. We've got a lot of new credit card bonus offers, which is a little bit surprising. We still have the Amex Gold at the 100,000 points plus 20% back in statement credits up to $100 for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. That's going to run through November 6th. Then we still have the Amex Platinum that we're still going to be finding some fluctuating numbers on if you're interested. And that's going to be an $8,000 spend in 6 months. I've seen that at 150,000 points on the incognito mode. So feel free to take a look at that. Then we've got the Marriott Bonvoy Bevy and Brilliant, both with the October 2nd deadline, with the Bonvoy Bevy at 155,000 points for $5,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months, and then 185,000 points for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months for the Bonvoy Brilliant. Both excellent cards to be able to look at, but you also got Chase cards that have Marriott ones that you have to weigh. We basically just found out today of new bonus offers for all of the Delta cards, both personal and business, with some of them being best ever offers and a couple of them that are almost there themselves. So we've got the Delta Gold. Now these are going to be October 23rd that they're going to be available until. So the Delta Gold has the best welcome offer ever with 80,000 miles for $3,000 worth of spend on purchases in the 6 months. And what's always great about the Gold card is you have a $0 annual fee for that first year. So you're getting it for free. You can test it out. And then it's $150 annual fee thereafter. The Delta Platinum has a near best offer, and that is going to be at 90,000 miles for $4,000 worth of spend on the purchases in the first 6 months. $350 annual fee for that Platinum card, but then you start getting into a companion pass that you get just for having the card, and that is for main cabin and economy that you'll see that are available for Platinum. Then we have the Delta Reserve with a best welcome offer at 100,000 miles for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. It's about $1,000 higher than in some cases for that card. But of course, you're getting the Delta Reserve card for two main reasons. One, for the access to the lounges of the Delta Sky Club, as well as the American Express Centurion lounges when flying Delta. And then secondly, you're getting an enhanced companion pass, whereas on the Platinum, it was for main cabin economy, this one can go up to first class to be able to get a companion where you're basically just paying the taxes and fees. So if you know you're flying a lot, that alone could just be able to make your money back, let alone the lounge access. And then we get into the Delta business cards, which are very similar to the personal ones. Higher spend is required on them, and they have a slightly different number on the miles that you're getting. So you're getting on the Delta Business Gold, you still get the benefit of no annual fee that first year, 90,000 miles for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. The Platinum it has the same kind of companion offer that comes with it. This one's at 100,000 miles for $8,000 worth of spend on purchases in the first 6 months. And then you can move up to the Delta Business Reserve, which is 110,000 miles, but it is on $12,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. But they're very similar from business to personal. Obviously, some of the reasons that you would look at the business ones would end up being because they're not going to count against 524, 624, or those type of issues where you have to worry about your cards, and obviously not reporting on your personal credit. So those are the ones that are for Amex for that. And then you have Barclays, which has done their set of their Wyndham credit cards, 45,000 points on the Wyndham Rewards Earner, which is their base model, for $2,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. Then you have the Earner Plus card, 75,000 points for $2,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. And then the Earner Business card, which a lot of people have heard about, obviously because you're getting diamond status with Wyndham and able to normally match that back through Caesars, hotels, Las Vegas, etc. 40,000 points with $4,000 worth of spend in the first 90 days, and 40,000 points after spending $15,000 in the first 12 months. I'll go in more into detail on these cards a little bit later in the show. And then for Chase, we've got the Marriott Bonvoy Bold with its best offer ever, 60,000 points plus a free night award for $2,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months if you just want to try the Marriott Bonvoy program out. Then you have the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless at 125,000 points for $5,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And that's going to be very competitive with most of the other $95 credit cards, either through hotel or airfare. Today, we had the Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia credit cards all come out for 85,000 points for $5,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And then we also got surprised, and I have to delete the Southwest Business credit cards. Those were supposed to be out longer. But as of today, those went away. So there's no more bonus on that. But now we have a limited time bonus on the personal cards where all of them are 85,000 points, regardless of which of the three cards you have. We'll also talk about that a little bit later in the show, where we'll kind of go a deep dive and look at what's the differences between the two and what may be the best one for you. Then we have the Ink Unlimited at 90,000 points, $900 or 90,000 points for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And then, of course, the World of Hyatt Business Card, which kind of just is out there at a $199 annual fee for up to 75,000 points, but that's in two pieces with 60,000 coming for the first $5,000 worth of spend, and then another 15,000 points if you spend $12,000 in the next 6 months. So, and then we have City, which has been a stable one. We normally just are seeing the Advantage Platinum personal card, zero initial annual fee, but 75,000 miles for American with $3,500 worth of spend in the first 4 months. And then the City Strata Premier, which is kind of the standard thing now. They still kind of show it as a offer, but I don't foresee that's changing at all as they try to stay competitive with the other $95 cards. And then Wells Fargo, which we still have the Choice Privileges MasterCard and Select MasterCard for these. These are obviously going to be for the people that are what I would consider road warriors, like I used to be, traveling across the state and staying in lower priced hotels for the most part, but clean, and just kind of wearing out the different bonuses that they have. So that's what that one would look like. So those are the credit card intro bonus offers that we have today. And I see that we've got Sendo in, thanks for stopping in. That Delta Gold Biz is a no-brainer. It is. I had the gold for a year, and then I went ahead and got rid of it and moved up to the platinum business one for myself. But my wife still has the gold business card. And with those enhancements, even with that change in the annual fee, if you once again, if you're just flying once or twice on Delta, it is worth having one of those cards, especially for the 15% off on the award purchases that you do automatically by having that card. And then thanks Filmo for stopping in. That Choice Select card is slept on. I like it. It is. It's one that like I said, if you're going to be traveling around a lot, and there's so many of the choice hotels, especially right off the highway, almost like a Waffle House or a Perkins, from the times when I was driving all over the place. There's so much you can be able to get from that, from those points, even with some of the devaluations that they've done on choice and some of their products. It still can be one that can really do a lot for you. Now, as far as the September transfer bonuses, we don't really still have much going on, with the 30% through September 30th for Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia through Amex, and 30% for Hilton through September 30th. And then Capital One, Air France, KLM, 20% through September 29th. So we don't normally see once we see a couple of those transfer bonuses at the beginning of the month, we don't normally see too much that fly out of there for the remainder. Now, that's not the case when we come to these points and miles opportunities as far as purchasing points and miles. And once again, as we go through this, there's rarely any case where you need to drop everything and purchase these miles or points because they have such a great deal. That's normally not the case, but they are a great opportunity to be able to top off, or if you know that you're going to get outsized value on a stay or a flight, then it's definitely going to be worth it. I've definitely done it a few times in my case, but you have to think it through and know for sure what you're going to be looking at doing. And John R., thank you for stopping through. Really appreciate it. And then Ian, evening, sir, and to you as well. Thanks for stopping through. Really appreciate it. So as far as the September points and miles that we've got going on, Air Canada, deadline of October 10th. We've got if you purchase 25,000 points or more, you can get up to 80% bonus on that. And that could get that cost per point at 1.4 versus kind of the average 1.5. And as I always mention, cost per cent per point rather is just a baseline. It does not necessarily mean anything for your particular situation, especially if you know you're going to get outsized value. So this one has a limit of 1 million purchase points per year and 500,000 miles per transaction. It is a good deal for topping off because of what you can get to 80% on really just 25,000 points or more, but it's an option. Then we have Finnair Avios, and of course, when we talk about Avios, one of the most flexible currency, because there's so many of these ones that have it, of British Airways, Aer Lingus, Qatar, Finnair, just to name some, Iberia. So you can always shuffle points around with all of them. So only when you're really seeing some outsized value on one's purchase price of Avios is it really going to make sense. And because so many of the credit cards deal with Avios, it's going to be a case where you can always, if you've got some accumulation of points with one of the major currencies, you can always shift them around. But this one can get as high as 50%, as long as you're purchasing 50,000 points or more. Be careful, be aware that it can take up to 3 days to appear on your account, though. So it's not going to be something instantaneous for you to be able to do. And then Hilton Honors, I know that by just looking at it and you see a 100% bonus for as little as 5,000 points. If you're not paid attention, it's something that could really catch you off guard. Like, oh, I know I have to buy this. But actually, this case of 100% does come up about once or twice a year, where we'll see an offer that can get as high as 100%. But with the way that Hilton has done so much expansion into so many different areas, there may be some new opportunities that you see a very good option for this. And we're going to actually talk about a new brand of Hilton tonight. So it's something to keep in mind. But if you're not already a Hilton Honors member, the timing may not work out for you, because if you're a new member, you may have to wait 30 days if you've had no activity on your account. I mean, if you have activity, and as much as 90 days if you have no activity. And this is currently slated to end September 24th. So something to keep in mind in regards to it. But once again, it's not a rarity that you'll ever see this. Then we still got JetBlue True Blue through September 13th, tomorrow, for this. And once again, JetBlue is such an interesting program because it's a fixed value awards program. So you really have to make sure that when you're using those, that you really are getting the right value. And it's even more important when you're talking about buying these miles through JetBlue True Blue. So make sure to keep that in mind. Leading Hotels of the World is a boutique luxury kind of model for about 400 different hotels. Now that one runs through September 27th. You can get as much as 100% bonus, which can work out well. And then there's only one transfer partner that deals with them, and that is Citi with 5-1. So something to keep in mind if you do see something like that or have had your eye on something. There may be a way that this works out well. An example of that, as far as 100,000 points for $6,000, seems like a whole lot. But if you're talking about a week stay at some of these hotels that fall under this program, it may be actually somewhat of a discount versus a cash price. So something for that. And then we have the Spirit Free Spirit ending tomorrow. And once again, as I've mentioned, I put that out there because there are some I call them air warriors, people that are that just are looking for the lowest priced flight. And because Spirit does not have any transfer partners, this may be something, if you're needing miles for your next flight and just hop off, this may be something for you as well. And then we have Wyndham rewards, which are going to be getting up to 25% off. Not a gigantic number. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Wyndham a little bit later, as far as if we're missing an opportunity there because of the way they're set up. But we'll take a look at that a bit. And then Aer Lingus actually just came out with a 50% bonus of their Avios for anywhere from 2,000 to 200,000 Avios. If your account is registered in the United States, you're basically looking at 1.53 cents per point, which is a little bit higher than the baseline. But once again, it's just a baseline. And then if you're in the UK, though, it's basically 1.1 cents per point. So it does represent a bit of value. But once again, Avios are just so easy to be able to accumulate or exchange for. So, but those are the opportunities that we are looking at for today. And let me get over here. And yep, John reaching out to people, and John. Yep. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate the words. It's always appreciated for liking and subscribing a small channel, just like John. Always encourage for him as well. And then Ian, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So let's take a look at graduate hotels. Now, this is not something I had heard of until Hilton had acquired them recently. So Graduate Hotels is now part of Hilton. And so now it's called Graduate by Hilton. Now, these Graduate Hotels began back in 2014, and it's a lifestyle hotel brand. And we've been talking about a lot of acquisitions and developments by a lot of these hotel brands, of lifestyle brands. And this is another one of them. But this is an interesting niche because most of these are in cities and towns that have significant ties to the universities and colleges. So a couple of examples would be University of Georgia in Athens, Penn State, as well as Stanford and Palo Alto. So what do you get when it comes to these? So there's currently 34 of these in the United States and UK. And one thing that I saw that was interesting is we've talked before about Hilton experiences, where you're able to use your Hilton points to enhance your experiences and with a completely different event like a uh, LPGA golf or tennis. But you also are able to do something when it comes to enhancing your hotel stay. Maybe it's different spas or special dinners. Well, for this one, they are doing their first offering, and this is if you pay attention to college football at all, this will appeal to you. So this is going to be over at the Graduate at Auburn, and so they're doing a 2 night stay, exclusive rooftop party, a concert by a surprise artist, and 2 tickets to the Auburn Oklahoma game. Oklahoma's new to the SEC Southeastern Conference. I definitely like my college football, and so if you do too, you're completely aware of this. Now the current bid for that is 420,000 points. That is a very interesting type of offer, and it's not something that you can easily duplicate. So if they're going to do these, especially during football season, I think it can get a lot of mileage in regards to these type of special events. Now, a few things to keep in mind. It is a lifestyle hotel brand, so it's a one that you'll have to, if you haven't been there before and you see some of the pictures, you have to really make sure that it appeals to you. It is going to have that kind of college vibe kind of setup in a lot of cases. Now, not all of those hotels are tied essentially to a college town or university, but a lot of them are. And like I said, it is a specific niche regarding it. Now they're thinking this brand has the potential to grow to 500. Now we're only at 34, so that's a lot of growth that Hilton is thinking that they may be able to get in on. Now, what they do provide is a lot of cases of very excellent value. One of the examples is the Graduate in Ann Arbor. Now, Ann Arbor, Michigan is obviously University of Michigan. They are showing that for that Michigan State game, which is a big deal, that one is cash priced at $1,560 per night, which is outrageous. It's a crazy number, but you can do it for 70,000 points. And if you value the Hilton points at 0.005, you're talking about something that's $350 for something that is being charged at 1,560. So, especially if you're a person that goes out to the football games and travel, this might be something that really works well for you. Now, I don't know how well it'll work when it's not the football season. Basketball season, maybe, but I think that if it's going to be really fixated on that, what they're hoping is that they get people in there for graduations, college move-in days, and I think there is some potential of being able to make that work. So that is an interesting model for something for to be able to take a look at. And so let me see what we got here. We got Robert J. There's a graduate in UT Knoxville. Now, see that it's interesting. So, and obviously, we know that down in Knoxville, they're going to get a lot of people, especially for that stadium and for UT football. John, go Mizzou. I can give you that one for Missouri for the Tigers. Unfortunately, they kind of beat up on my beleaguered Ohio State Buckeyes for the New Year's game, but I'll just throw that out and won't think about that. Sounds pretty awesome. It does. It's a model that I hadn't heard of, but I live near a major university, and so it would really do well where I'm located at. So I think that there is potential to get to that 500 number. And Robert reaching out to John and Hook 'em Horns, yeah, Texas. Yeah, they just beat up on Michigan. So I think my Ohio State Buckeyes gets them in about another year or two, and I think it's a home and home. And so then go blue. Yeah, I guess I'll. Yeah, I won't say anything else, Philmo. Blue it is for today. So, but that's what the Graduate by Hilton is looking like. Now, the next item we've got is I just saw that there were changes for Uber as the credit that we get on our Amex Platinum and our Gold cards that I wanted to make sure to bring to you because I just only saw this in the last couple of hours. Um, And this was something I believe reported by the points guy. So I have to give him his credit. So the change is coming on November 8th. Now, obviously, if you've got either of those cards, we're currently able to, we get those, we get our Uber cash at the beginning of each month. And as long as our card is linked to that to get those, it doesn't matter what credit card you use to spend. And so obviously you can get some outs a little bit better value than when you're talking about, especially a platinum card. But what you're looking at is as of November 8th, we will be required to use the Amex card in order to use the Uber Cash in our wallet. And so that can be a bit of a nuisance for certain people of how they use that Uber credit. And so when I talk about my thoughts, you're losing the flexibility to use better earning cards. For me, I would not normally use my Amex Platinum for the spending on that Uber, regardless if I'm using it for Uber rides or Eats. Now, so one thing to keep in mind is that the Amex card must be used, but it does not have to be your Amex Gold or your Platinum. So, for instance, if you have the Amex Green card, when it comes to those Uber rides, you can still use that to get the 3x membership reward points on the Uber rides. So that is some plus for it. And then I think the other part of the plus that I think what we're going to see is it's the Uber rides that might hurt you the most, especially if you use them a lot. I don't use Uber for rides much, but if you were using them, you probably were using Chase Preferred cards for extra credit on the Uber. You might have used Capital One in some cases. So now you're going to kind of lose out on that if you use it a lot. Now, if you're using the Amex Gold and you're using it for Uber Eats, then there's really nothing that's hurting you with it because you're not really going to be impacted. You'll continue to use the the Uber Gold, I'm sorry, the Amex Gold card for Uber Eats, and so that will be there, but the frequent rider, as I mentioned, would be impacted. So I think you're going to start, you probably will already see that language if you look at your cards, but plan for this. Know what you want to be able to do with that money. It's not a lot, but as we've always talked about, these credits that we get from Amex are so essential for us to maximize them so that we get back what we put in on that annual fee. So be aware of that. Um, and Fimo, you're right. We can still be friends. We can just make sure that we kind of stay away from that date in November. But anytime other than that, we're all good. So as far as the next one, we've got the Singapore KrisFlyer redemption. Now, for these, you're going to save 25% on your reward miles that are needed. The sale now, the only part is the sale only applies to saver level. Deadline to book is September 22nd. And the economy awards are to all the destinations. They're all included. So there's no restriction on the destinations. But the premium economy and the business awards are for just select destinations. Now, at least you are able to fly between January 15th and May 29th. So you do have a large window for that. And I'll make sure to have a link for this for you to be able to get into and find out more about those select destinations. You do have to be aware of blackout dates. Now these are not universal blackout dates. They are based on destinations and they vary. So you have to pay attention to each one of those. The other part is unfortunately, there are no first class redemptions with this. So you're not going to be flying first class Singapore first class on this. And the sale only applies to Singapore Airlines, not their partner airlines. And of course, it's for us that are doing points and miles, Saver awards are the lowest price awards that are offered. Now, the Advantage awards that are available through Singapore are more expensive and, of course, more available, but they're not included in this particular redemption sale. Now, flying from the US, there are no economy or business class redemption opportunities available. But if you're looking at premium economy, you can fly from JFK to Singapore, and it currently has no blackout dates, or San Francisco to Singapore, where there are some blackout dates. So once again, I'll make sure to have a link for you to be able to reach that and find out more information for yourself. Now, the Chase Avios credit cards and which one's best for you, this goes back to we are now looking at 85,000 points, Avios, I'm sorry, 85,000 Avios for any of the three credit cards of the British Airways, Aer Lingus, and Avios. And so on the surface, they seem very similar. We've already talked about how you can interchange the Avios between all three of them. Now, all the cards come with the same earnings, 3x on any of the IAG partner, which includes Iberia, British Airways, and Aer Lingus. So that's universal. You're going to have that across all three credit cards, and 2x on purchases directly with hotels. They all have the same benefits of baggage delay, lost luggage, purchase protection, as well as extended warranty. So you may think that it doesn't matter which one of the three you pick, but it does. And so I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of look at that so that you can make the best choice for you if you are interested in looking at Avios. So for Aer Lingus, we'll start with them. The features that it has is priority boarding when you are flying between the United States and Ireland. And with a $30,000 spend, you can get a companion ticket for that airline in economy. So there's not a whole lot that you're getting out of the Aer Lingus credit card. It's almost going to be specifically if you are a person that flies back and forth to Ireland. That may be really one that you may want to look at if that companion pass works and you like flying economy. Then when you get to the British Airways, that becomes a whole different kind of thing. You're going to get 10% discount on all your British Airway flights originating from the United States. You're going to get up to $600 in award flight statement credits. And with the $30,000 spend, if you do that on British Airways, what you're going to get is the Travel Together ticket. And it allows you to redeem Avios for one reward seat and bring a companion in the same cabin. And that can include first class, just paying the taxes and fees. So if you are flying a lot or going to generate that kind of money, that is an excellent companion ticket to be able to get at just paying taxes and fees. So you can see that there's an immediate difference between British Airways and an Aer Lingus card. So how about Iberia? So you do get 10% discount on all Iberia flights. And with that $30,000 spent on that one's in is a $1,000 airfare discount voucher for that. And then disregard that last one, the bullet on that. But I think that what the main thing to look at on this is Iberia's $30,000 spend is just for you as an individual. There's no companion pass involved. So if you are a person that might be flying to Europe a lot, obviously Iberia is best known for its business class that has improved greatly over the last 2 to 3 years. And both the product that you have, the hard product, as well as the soft product of food and such compared to what it was used to be ranked as. But if you're looking at companion passes, then you're looking at Aer Lingus and British Airways. But British Airways almost seems like in almost most people's cases, that's going to be the best option if you're looking at doing it. But I wouldn't blame you if you were looking at doing the card, doing any of those cards for that 85,000 Avios, and then you may not use it. So keep in mind with that. Of course, you got to play around with 524 because these are personal credit cards. But if you're looking at something, that could be an option. Now, the next one is the Southwest credit cards, which I before each of these live streams, I always go look through all of the major credit card issuers to see if there's any new bonuses or deals. And that this Southwest one I just saw today. I haven't seen anybody talk about it or advertise about it. So I thought this would be a good moment to take a look at these three cards now, because all of them are 85,000 Southwest miles, essentially with $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. So once again, they all may seem the same, but they're really not. There are going to be different annual fees we're going to be looking at, and different different benefits you're going to get from it. So the lowest price card is the Plus card with a $69 annual fee. Be aware that this one is the only one of the three that has a foreign transaction fee of 3%. So definitely, if you're going to be looking at a Southwest credit card, you're definitely not taking it with you anywhere. 2x on Southwest, 2x on local transit and commuting, including rideshare, 2x on internet, phone, cable, and select streaming. You'll get 3,000 anniversary points each year, 2 early bird check-ins each year, and of course, the 25% back on in-flight purchases. Now, you could move up to the Premier, which will move it from $69 to $99. And the biggest differences that you're going to see for that $30 difference is now you're looking at 3x instead of 2x on your Southwest purchases. You're moving from 3,000 anniversary points to 6,000 anniversary points. And if you're a person that normally is trying to get status, even with Southwest, you can earn tier qualifying points with the Premier credit card. Then, so obviously you're looking at Plus if you're really just trying to get this bonus and don't really foresee yourself doing more than maybe a couple of flights a year to use those 2 early bird check-ins, because they can have a little bit of value and almost get you to what that annual fee is. The Premier is for the person that's going to be flying a little bit more, as you can imagine, getting that higher anniversary point. And then if you're looking at those tier qualifying points. But the top one for Southwest is the Priority, and it's $149. Now, you're not going to really see any difference in the earnings of it compared to the Premier. It's the same for Southwest, same for local transit, internet, phone, cable. The biggest differences of why you may look at a Priority is, one, you're going to now get bumped up to 7,500 anniversary points each year. You're going to get a $75 annual Southwest travel credit, which literally splits that effective rate from 149 to 75. But you also get 4 upgraded boardings when available, which can really have a lot of impact. Once again, if you do even just 2 round trip flights. And then you can earn tier qualifying points in the 25% back on in-flight purchases. So if you're looking at these cards, probably if you're a person that, like I said, if you're only going to even fly 2 or 3 times on Southwest, you may want to look at and consider the Priority for those extra benefits. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind is we know that there are changes forthcoming to the whole Southwest model, and we don't know how this is going to necessarily impact some of these benefits, especially these early bird check-ins and the upgraded boarding. So what may be a good value and a good opportunity now may lessen or get better as Southwest rolls out that new plan and process that they have for their model. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. And then I thought this was an interesting item as far as United Airlines and partner flight discounts. So many of you all may be aware that when it comes to award availability just for the United brand, you would have a situation where if you're a Premier, have Premier status, and normally, like if you had the Explorer credit card, then if you were going to look for award space and flights, you get an expanded amount of awards compared to other people. Well, there now appears to be a case where they're now doing it for partner flights as well. Now, credit goes to Greg at Frequent Miler for this one. He did a lot of different award searches recently and found that there were partner flights available. So as I mentioned, United routinely had provided that expanded award availability to Premier members and cardholders. What Greg was able to see was that he was able to get discounts, not significant, but they were still there, for discounts on award flights for partners like Austrian, Avianca, Eva Air, Lufthansa, and Turkish. That is a big difference. I mean, that's not something we've seen before with United. So that might be able to give us a little bit more flexibility in things to be able to do with that additional availability. And anything we can do to get more of something is always going to be great. Now, people have said that they've even seen these discounts even on the United brand with the Gateway. Now, they don't advertise it for that, but I've heard more than a few people say that they've been able to get that expanded award availability with just the Gateway card. Now, we have no idea of what this situation is. Is this a temporary situation? Will it stop at this point with just the ones they're showing, or is it part of a larger rollout? So, if you're a person that does a lot of Star Alliance award flights, this may be something that you'll want to keep an eye on. And especially if you have expanded award availability in your particular situation, definitely keep an eye out for some things because you may find that there's going to be some opportunities for you that you didn't have before. And I see, the priority pays for itself right now, but who knows what Southwest has in mind. You're exactly right, Philmo. It's interesting that we have no time frame really for this rollout. They just kind of dropped it. It sounded great, and I'm a person that rarely flies Southwest, but not having to do the cattle call is something I'm interested in. But then you haven't heard a thing since, and you've got a lot of moving parts that we're not hearing what's going to happen. So um, we don't know what's going to become of any of this. So you're exactly right. And then on this topic, I thought I would take some time to talk about Wyndham Rewards. In and is talk about is it an undervalued point um, program? I have to admit I have not done much with Wyndham, but I have been looking at it a little bit more, especially for when I was looking at family travel and there was a Wyndham, newer Wyndham, all inclusive resorts that were in Cancun and some other locations that kind of turned my eye a little bit to this. Plus, the ability to use those points for Vacasa was something that I had really been kind of looking at. So I thought I would share this with you, especially because we've got some elevated welcome offers on the credit cards through Barclays. So let's take a quick look at it. Um, so as I mentioned, we have a limited time elevated welcome bonus offer on all three credit cards. And what credit card may be best for you is the first place where we start, and kind of then begin to determine our Wyndham points are a bit undervalued. So we've got three credit cards, two personal, one business. Now, the first two that are the personal ones are the Earner and the Earner Plus. So for the Wyndham stays, we don't see a huge difference, 5x versus 6x. For gas stations, we see the same thing, 5x versus 6x. We do see a difference on the dining and groceries from 2x to 4x. And we also are seeing that we're getting platinum status instead of gold status for Wyndham. Now, the points that we're getting, the award bonus points, the biggest difference on the Earner, which has no annual fee, is you only get the 7,500 points with $15,000 worth of spend. But if you have the Earner Plus at $75 annual fee, then you get the 7,500 points just as an anniversary for that. Now, a lot of people that have these cards obviously will use them for the Wyndham stays, but they've also have chosen to use them sometimes because of gas stations. Now, obviously, the cent per point and what the value is varies for different cards and all, but for some people, they will use it for that. So, but once again, many of these hotel and airline credit cards are not normally meant to be daily drivers necessarily, but they can be when you're trying to hustle up some points. And I see that John mentioned that they're strong cards. Yeah, I do not have one at this point. I was looking at the business one and could not get it originally. And so maybe by the end of the year, I can look at trying again. And then we have the business credit card. So now your Wyndham stays goes up to 8x. The gas stations are now 9x. So now when you're talking about the business card, you're now looking at a situation where that gas station number is so high, even for the value of Wyndham points, that you could be competitive in using it for gas in a lot of cases. Now, you do obviously drop off, as with any business card. You're not seeing the points on dining and groceries. They drop down to 1x. Marketing, advertising, utilities, 5x. But you're getting the business card because you're getting diamond status. You're getting the top Wyndham status. You're getting the 15,000 points each anniversary year, and that Wyndham stay amount and the gas stations. But that's all for just $95 annual fee. So there's a lot you're getting out of that card. It's always talked about. It's not the easiest one in some cases to get. And I say that because a lot of times for business credit cards with everybody else, Amex, Chase, even Citi to a certain extent, um, you don't have to worry about having an LLC. It can really just be a thought that you have. Like I've always heard it talked about as far as if you just want to write the next great novel, you can say that my business is to write novels on travel, or you're going to do crochet or whatever it is. As long as your personal credit score is good and your numbers look right, you can get business credit cards. They're not a problem. Barclays is a little bit tougher, though, in some cases. So that's why, for my case, um, I've not been able to get one yet. But don't let that, don't, even if you couldn't get one from Barclays, I say this as a public service announcement. Don't be fearful of business credit cards. I'm not saying for you that everyone should have one, but if you feel like there's some room for some things, it really can accelerate a lot of your point accumulation and some diversity. So I'll leave it at that. Now, as far as the Wyndham tiers, you've got a few of them. You've got the Blue Member, which is the starting point, 10 points per dollar on your Wyndham stays just for being a member, free Wi-Fi, and you get elite qualification for rollover nights from year to year. So that's not bad for something that you just get off the bat. And then for Gold, which we talked about, you're going to get 10% bonus on your stays, preferred rooms, and late checkout. Once again, that's not bad. Once again, for a brand that is kind of mid to middle level or so in a lot of cases. Then you have the platinum status where you get obviously all of the gold. You get 15% bonus on your stays. Now you get to add the early check in with the late checkout, and you'll get status match with Caesars and Avis and budget car rental upgrades. So those are nice touches once again for just having platinum status. And then for diamond, you're going to get your bonus on your stays are going to go up to 20%. You'll get a welcome amenity. You'll get unlimited suite upgrades, which is nice. And you can gift gold status to one person per calendar year, which is a nice touch. And then lastly, for every Go Free award night that you book at a participating city, you'll receive 2 tickets for a local experience in that city. So that could end up helping to kind of build out that kind of experience that you're looking to do when you're traveling on Wyndham. Now, the thing that I think that is really interesting about Wyndham is the simplicity of their redemptions. You have tier 1 hotels and lodging that is just 7,500 points a night. Now, keep in mind, we've talked about just getting that as part of your anniversary award, let alone the spend. Then you've got tier 2, which is 15,000 points. Tier 3 is 30,000 points. And then Vacasa, which is where my focus is being these days, of where I think that there is some outstanding value to be able to do with Vacasa. And Vacasa is essentially vacation rental properties, not the regular hotels. So for Vacasa, you have 15,000 points up for, and that is for up to $250 per bedroom per night. And that is how Vacasa works. They base it on the bedrooms and the cost per bedroom, not necessarily the whole place. So that's going to be helpful as well. We'll touch on shortly. So 15,000 points for up to $250 per bedroom per night. 30,000 points when it's $250.01 to $500 per bedroom per night. And in most cases, you're not going to pay taxes and fees when you're using points. That just on a 10% discount, you're looking at bringing that 15,000 down to 13,500, and for the 30,000, it comes down to 27,600. Now, as you can imagine, the best values for these rentals are going to be when you are getting right up to that ceiling. So just under $250 is going to be a great point redemption for 15,000. And a point redemption will be outstanding if you're just under $500 per bedroom per night. Now, Vacasa has more than 15,000 vacation rental properties spread out all over the world. One of the things that I wanted to give a tip, and I have to throw this out for this because we're basing it on bedroom. So there are some of these um, properties that you may look at where a one bedroom unit is not the same as another one bedroom unit. There are some one bedroom units that are oversized, essentially. And so, what you can end up doing if you're trying to look for something like that is when you're searching for your Vacasa property, put in a slightly larger number for that one bedroom. So maybe instead of where it's four that would normally be in a one bedroom, put in six. And if you see that happen, now you know it's an oversized one bedroom, but it's still just a one bedroom piece. So that could end up providing you even more value if you're looking at this. So I just wanted to pass that on to you all because I think there is some strong value for Wyndham, and it's something that I'm going to look to devote some effort and some time into next year for this. So I wanted to bring you all along as I'm looking at it. And I see Phil Mo says, my Bills Mafia license will be revoked if I don't leave now. Thanks for all the info. No, thanks so much, sir. Really appreciate you coming in through here. Wanted to be able to bring that to you. And so if there are any questions or anything for us to touch on that you have on your mind, or please, I'll make sure to give some time to touch on those, and we can talk about those. But wanted to kind of give a few minutes and see if anybody has anything that we should touch on or talk about. And if not, it's no problem either. So, okay. So I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. We'll definitely do this next week. And I expect to get a video out after this weekend so that get back in the swing of things. It's been a long 30 days and want to get back into it. And feel free to comment and thoughts, and I'll make sure to put this out in chapters shortly. And so thank you all for stopping in. Really appreciate it. And everybody take care.